I have a wooden bucket sitting right here, next to my barn door. At the bottom of it, there is a mixture of 3 ingredients you can find in any pantry or corner store for less than $5. 3 simple things. Every single dog with a musky, dusty, dirty smell within 100 yards of my farmhouse, all of those odors are about to disappear, and they are going to do it instantly. Not just masking the scent with a cheap perfume, no. This bucket is going to make that odor vanish within 24 hours. It will not use strange chemicals. It will not irritate the sensitive skin of my farm dog, nor the skin of your pets at home. It will not ruin the coat of show dogs. It will not harm my children who hug them all day long. It only kills one thing, the bad odor at its very root. A lot of people keep spending money on plastic bottles that smell like synthetic flowers. We do not. Today you are going to learn how we do it. My name is Levi. I am Amish, and I have kept farm dogs since I was a young boy. They work, they get dirty, and sometimes they smell bad. But you have never heard me complain about a dog odor in my own kitchen in over 40 years. I have no blue or pink shampoo bottles with complicated names. I have no mobile pet grooming truck pulling into my driveway every month. I have no subscription for chemicals that nobody can pronounce. I am going to show you exactly what I do, step by step, what it costs, and why it works. And then I am going to tell you the part that should make you feel a little uneasy. The part where the pet shampoo companies have known about this for decades, and most of them still sell you things you do not need. Stay with me. By the end of this, you will know how to clean your dog, eliminate the odor forever, this very weekend, for less than the cost of one single bottle of that commercial shampoo sitting on your shelf right now. And your dog, believe me, will thank you for it. Let me start with what most folks get wrong. Because if you do not understand this, none of the rest of this will work. Dog odor, that stale, rancid smell, does not come from the air. It does not come from the dirt on the ground. It does not blow in on the wind from your neighbor's pond. Every single bad smell coming off your dog was created right on the surface of their own skin. It was created by bacteria and fungi that feed on the natural oils of their coat. They only need 3 things: a warm place, moisture, and time. A tiny amount of sweat, a little dampness after a rainy day, a small fold in the skin, that is enough. A single bacterium can multiply into millions in just 24 hours. And when they multiply, they create organic compounds that smell bad. That is the whole game right there. If you let that bacterial and fungal colony grow on your dog, you are running an odor generator. If you eliminate it, or, and this is the trick, if you create an environment where they cannot live, you have solved the problem at the source. This is what we have always done. My grandfather walked the property with an empty coffee can every single weekend. He tipped over every single small catch pool of water. He taught us that prevention is the key to everything, from mosquitoes to odors. He had another trick, one that I am going to show you in about 3 minutes. The English world wants to kill the odor of their dog after it has already appeared and makes you wrinkle your nose. They want to bathe them in chemical perfumes. We stop the odor before it ever begins by changing the chemistry of the skin. Here is what I want you to do this weekend. You will need 3 simple things. A bowl or a bucket, preferably made of wood or ceramic, not metal, so it does not interfere with the ingredients. I will explain why in a minute. 1 ingredient to absorb, a fine powder you can find in the baking aisle or the cleaning section. I am going to show you exactly what it is. 1 ingredient to neutralize and protect, a solution found in the food aisle, which is a mild but powerful acid. Pay me less than $5 for the whole thing. Before I tell you what they are, I want to share that little secret from my grandfather that I mentioned. In the summer, when the odor was at its worst and time was short, he did something he called the desert brushing. He would take a small, empty coffee can and fill it with a powder he made at home. He would brush the dogs with that powder out in the field, not in the house. It took the odor right off them in 5 minutes, and he did not have to use a single drop of water. And he had another secret for when the dogs had persistent odors, a secret from grandmother, which I am going to reveal to you in just a few minutes. Now let us make the main recipe. Start with your empty bowl. You are going to pour your first ingredient into it. 2 cups of baking soda. Yes, plain baking soda. It is the king of odor absorption. Why baking soda? Because it is an alkaline base, and most bacterial odors are acidic. When you mix them, they neutralize each other instantly. But baking soda alone only absorbs the odor of today. It does not create the protective environment for tomorrow. Here is the part that turns this recipe into a long-term solution. You are going to take your second ingredient and add it. It is apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar has a mild acidic pH, the exact opposite of baking soda. That bubbling you see is the effervescence of neutralization. What you have just created is a pH buffer solution that bacterial skin hates. Most importantly, apple cider vinegar has natural antifungal and antibacterial properties. It is not a chemical. It is a living thing that has been used for thousands of years. Germany has been using vinegar in cleaning solutions for generations. It is the safest neutralizer on the planet, and it has been for decades. So why is your local pet store not selling it to you? The answer is simple. Baking soda and vinegar are cheap. A bottle of each will last you the entire summer and costs less than $5 total. A bottle of premium dog shampoo costs between $15 and $25, and they ask you to buy it every single month. One spoonful of this paste, applied to your dog's coat for just a few minutes before the final rinse, will kill every colony of bacteria for weeks. That is the whole maintenance schedule right there. Now, here is how you make the system actually work for your dog. You are not going to put this in a squeeze bottle. You are not going to decorate it. You are solving a root problem on the skin. Make this paste in a small bowl. Not too much, just enough to cover the critical zones. Take it outside to the yard, not into your house bathtub. Brush your dog dry first to get rid of any loose dirt. And then, and this is important, apply the paste to the areas where the odor builds up. Behind the ears, on the neck, at the base of the tail, and between the paws. Do not apply it anywhere near their eyes or their nose. Only on the body. Let it sit for 5 minutes. And then, grandmother's secret. She used something special for that persistent dog paw smell that smells like corn chips. She would take a single drop, just one, of lavender essential oil. It is not a perfume, it is a real plant extract. She would rub it right between the pads of the paws. And that eliminated the lingering odor instantly. That single drop, combined with the paste, changes the entire game. And for the final touch, the third ingredient from our original recipe, which acts as a binder to make a smooth paste. You are going to add 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. Coconut oil moisturizes the skin that the baking soda and vinegar might otherwise dry out. It is the natural fat that your dog's body wants. It is an important step to make the system work. So, this weekend, here is what I want you to do. Go to the store and buy a box of baking soda, a bottle of apple cider vinegar, a jar of coconut oil, and a small bottle of lavender essential oil. The whole thing will run you about $20, and you will have enough to last the entire year. And by next Saturday evening, you will be sitting on your porch with your dog right next to you, smelling like nothing at all. Not like synthetic flowers, like nothing. And you will know that you are using the same method that my community has used for generations. Not because we are clever, but because we had no choice. Tell me in the comments below what breed of dog you have and what their biggest odor problem is like. I read every single one of these comments. And tell me if you are going to try this recipe. I want to hear how it goes. The folks in my community already know this works. I am only writing this for the folks outside of it who were never told. And if you are tired of spending money on chemicals for your home, next time I am going to show you how my grandmother used to make white clothes look whiter than snow without ever using bleach. It involves hot water, a block of one ingredient you would never guess, and a couple of magic stones my grandfather used to bring up from the creek. It worked for 100 years before chemical detergent was ever invented, and it still works better than anything you can buy. Until then, stay cool, stay watchful, and remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember. Thank you for watching this video. I want to dive deeper into what happens when you ignore the true source of the problem. When you take your dog to the vet or the pet store because they smell damp, the first thing they do is sell you a plastic bottle. That bottle contains sodium lauryl sulfate. It is the exact same foaming agent they use to clean tractor engines in mechanic shops. They tell you it makes a lot of lather because lather cleans. But my grandfather taught me that lather is just air trapped in soap, and air does not clean anything. What that harsh chemical actually does is strip your dog's skin of absolutely all its natural protective oils. The skin becomes bone dry, it cracks, and it starts to itch. The dog scratches itself against the barnwood, bites at its paws, and creates tiny open sores. In those sores, sweat and moisture from the morning grass mix together. The bacteria return, but now they have a feast of damaged skin to live on. Within 3 days, your dog smells worse than they did before you washed them. So you go back to the store, you buy a more expensive shampoo, a conditioner, a scented spray. It is a cycle that never ends, designed to keep you spending your money every single month on solutions that create the very problem they promise to cure. We break that cycle by changing the chemistry. Apple cider vinegar and baking soda do not destroy the natural barrier, they balance it. By regulating the pH, the bacteria simply cannot find a home to multiply. They disappear because they have nothing to eat, not because we flooded them with industrial poisons. Let us talk about consistency. You do not need to do this every single day. A farm dog is not a living room couch that needs to be scrubbed down every morning. A dog needs its own body oil to stay protected from the cold and the rain. The coconut oil in our mixture acts as a temporary replacement shield, while their own skin works to generate its healthy oils back. My grandmother used to say that cleaning an animal should be as gentle as a spring rain, not like a hailstorm. If you notice your dog has a very strong odor coming from their ears, do not pour the mixture inside. The ears of dogs, especially those with floppy ears like hounds, trap moisture because the air cannot circulate. Take a clean cotton cloth, dip it in a diluted mixture of water with just a few drops of apple cider vinegar, nothing else, and gently wipe the inside of the ear flap. You will see the dark buildup come right out, and that sour smell will vanish in a couple of days. This is what traditional medicine calls maintaining balance. The companies would rather sell you expensive eardrops loaded with antibiotics that weaken the animal's natural defenses. When you learn to observe the nature of your pet, you realize that most remedies are right there in the earth, in the plants, and in the simple combinations our ancestors perfected long before commercial patents ever existed. When you walk through the fields of Lancaster in the morning, you see the dogs running through the heavy dew. Their paws get wet constantly. That constant moisture between the toes of the paws is the #1 cause of what the English call the corn chip smell, or the cheese smell. It is no mystery of science. It is a fungus called malassezia. It lives naturally on the skin, but when it finds constant moisture and warmth, it multiplies out of control. Apple cider vinegar destroys the exact environment that fungus needs to grow. By using the lavender oil on the pads, you are not just providing a pleasant scent, you are using a powerful natural antiseptic that breaks down the cell wall of the fungus. 5 minutes of attention this weekend will save you costly trips to the specialist and keep your four-legged coworker comfortable and focused on their duties around the farm or in your home. My father always said that a neglected animal is a reflection of a neglected mind. Caring for them with what the earth provides is our responsibility and our privilege. You do not need a credit card to keep your dog healthy and clean. You just need to look in your pantry and give them an hour of your time. I think about how much the world has changed outside of our community. People walk into massive stores filled with bright lights and endless aisles of pet products. They see labels with pictures of happy dogs and promises of a shiny coat. They buy artificial lavender sprays, scented talcum powders, and disposable wet wipes. They believe they are doing the absolute best for their families. But if you look at the back of those bottles, you will see warnings telling you to wash your hands immediately after use, or not to let the product touch your own skin for too long. If it is harmful to you, why would you put it on the living creature that sleeps at the foot of your children's bed? Our recipe is so safe you could taste it yourself without ever getting sick. Baking soda is what we use to bake our bread on Sundays. Vinegar is what we put on our garden salads. Coconut oil is what we use for cooking. There are no dark secrets or warning labels in tiny print. It is pure honesty bottled by your own hands in a bowl in your kitchen. That is the true value of doing things yourself. This method is passed from father to son in our families because it operates under one very simple rule. If you cannot find it in nature or create it from basic elements, your body and the bodies of your animals probably do not need it. The dogs on my farm do not suffer from skin allergies. They do not get those red hot spots that modern vets call dermatitis. They have a thick, weather-resistant coat that handles the wind and the rain perfectly. When the English come to our cooperative to buy cheese or furniture, they often ask us how we manage to keep our animals looking so strong and clean without using electricity or advanced technologies. The answer is always the same. We do not interfere with nature's design. We only assist it when it loses its balance. Once you strip away the excess human intervention and stop drowning your pet in chemical perfumes, their own body finds the path back to health. The odor disappears because the cause of the odor, which was the imbalance brought on by the commercial shampoos themselves, is no longer there. It is a simple lesson, but in today's world, the simple things seem to be the hardest for people to remember. That is why I encourage you to run this experiment on Saturday. Do not just take my word for it because I am telling you here in this video. Prove it to yourself. Get an old bucket, mix the elements together, and watch how your dog's coat changes over the course of a single week. You will realize that you are not just saving money at the grocery store, you are gaining a different connection to your surroundings. You are taking control of what comes into your home and what you place on the creatures that depend on you. My grandfather used to sit on the garden bench in the evenings, after a long day of work in the fields, and watch the dogs rest in the cool grass. The air smelled like clean dirt, dry herbs, and wood. That is the smell a farmhouse should have. Not the smell of industrial perfume coming out of an aerosol can. It is the smell of real life, of things cared for with patience and respect. If you can bring that back to your own backyard this weekend, you will have learned something much more valuable than a simple $5 recipe. You will have learned to look at the world through the eyes of those who lived before everything was bought in a cardboard box. At the end of the day, your pet's health is in your hands. The big corporations want to make you believe that you are incapable of managing your own home without their patented products. They make you doubt your own common sense just so they can sell the solution back to you in a brightly colored plastic container. But the truth is that the best solutions have been right here all along, waiting on the bottom shelves of the grocery store or growing in the corner of the garden. You do not need a secret laboratory formula to fight bacteria. You need to understand how pH works and have the discipline to check on your animal once a week. Walk with them, brush them under the sunlight, check their paws after they run through the mud. That time you spend with them is worth more than any $100 dog spa treatment. It is the daily care, the attention to the tiny details, that keeps the sickness and the bad smells away. That is what we have always done in our community, and that is what I want to leave you with today. When you turn off this video and go back to your routine, think about the amount of things you have in your house that could be replaced with simple, honest solutions. The modern world moves very fast, making a lot of noise and creating needs that never existed before. Sometimes, the most revolutionary thing you can do is take a step back, find a wooden bucket, mix a little baking soda with vinegar, and solve a problem for yourself without asking a corporation for help. Your dog will be happier, your pocket will be fuller, and you will feel just a little bit more free. That is all I have for you today. Remember to leave your comment below so I know how the mixture worked for you and what kind of companion you have at home. I will see you in the next video, where we will keep remembering the important things the world seems to have forgotten. Stay steady, stay watchful, and take care of your own with simplicity.